Hare Krishna. Welcome to all devotees. Now we start today's Bhagwatam class. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om
Hare
Namo
Krishna. Mataji,
Bhagavate
can you
Vasudevaya.
disconnect audio from one side?
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskrutam Naram Chaiva Narottamam. देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयम् उदीरयेत् नष्टप्रायेषु भद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवती उत्तम श्लोके भक्ति भवति नैष्टिकी. हरे कृष्णा दंडवत प्रणाम. Now we continuing Srimad Bhagwatam, Canto 11, Chapter 18, Varnashram Dharma, description of the Varnashram Dharma. From Shloka number 39 to 48. तावत् परिचरेत भक्तः श्रद्धावान् अनसूयकः यावत् ब्रह्म विजानीयात् माम् एव गुरुम् आदृतः यः तु असंयत षट्वर्गः प्रचंड इंद्रिय सारथी ध्यान वैराग्य रहितः त्रिदंडम् उपजीवति सूरान् आत्मानम् आत्मस्थं निवनुते मां च धर्मः अविपक्व कषायः अस्मात् अमुष्मात् च विहीयते. भिक्षो धर्म शम अहिंसा तप इक्षा मन ओकसः गृहीणा भूत अजेक्षा अक्षेजा द्विजस्य आचार्य सेवनम ब्रह्मचर्यं तप शौचम संतोष भूत सौहृदम गृहस्थस्य अपि ऋतौ गन्तुः सर्वेषां मत उपासनम् इति मामेव स्वधर्मेण भजेन नित्यम् अनन्य भाग सर्वभूतेषु मद्भाव मद्भक्तिं विन्दते दृढा भक्त्या उद्धव अनपायन्या सर्वलोक महेश्वर सर्व 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 उत्पत्ति अपेयम् ब्रह्म कारणं मा उपयाति स इति स्वधर्म निर्णीतः सत्व निर्ज्ञातम अद्गति निर्ज्ञातम अद्गति ज्ञान विज्ञान संपन्न न चिरात समुपैति मां वर्णाश्रमवतां धर्म एष आचार लक्षण स एव मद्भक्ति युतः निःश्रेयस्कर पर एतत् अभिहितं साधो भवान् पृच्छति यच्च मां यथा स्वधर्म संयुक्त भक्त माम समीयात परम. Translation and purport by the Srila Prabhupada, Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Until a devotee has clearly realized spiritual knowledge, he should continue with great faith and respect and without envy to render personal service to the Guru who is not different from me. One who has not controlled the 6 forms of illusion, lust, anger, greed, excitement, false pride, and intoxication, whose intelligence, the leader of the senses, is extremely attached to material things, who is bereft of knowledge and detachment, who adopts the sannyasa order of life to make a living, who denies the worshipable demigods, his own self, and the supreme Lord within himself, thus ruining all religious principles, and who is still infected by material contamination, is defeated and lost both in this life and the next. Until the main religious duties of a sannyasi are equanimity and non-violence, whereas for varnaprastha, austerity and philosophical understanding of the difference between the body and soul are prominent. The main duties of a householder are to give shelter to all living entities and perform sacrifices, and the brahmachari is mainly engaged in serving the spiritual master. A householder may approach his wife for sex only at the time prescribed for begetting children. Otherwise, the householder should practice celibacy, austerity, cleanliness of mind and body, satisfaction in his natural position, and friendship toward all living entities. Worship of me is to be practiced by all human beings, regardless of social and occupational division. One who worship me by his prescribed duty, having no other objects of worship, and who remains conscious of me as present in all living entities, achieve unflinching devotional service to me. The main religious, my dear Uddhava, I am supreme Lord of all worlds, and I create and destroy this universe. Being its ultimate cause, I am thus the absolute truth, and one who worship me with unfailing devotional service comes to me. Thus, one who has purified his existence by execution of his prescribed duties, who fully understand my supreme position, and who is endued with scriptural and religious knowledge, very soon achieve me. Those who are followers of this Varnashram system accept religious principles according to authorized traditions of proper conduct. When such Varnashram duties are dedicated to me in loving service, they award the supreme perfection of life. My dear saintly Uddhava, I have now described to you, just as you inquired, the means by which my devotee perfectly engaged in his prescribed duty can come back home, back to me and the supreme personality of Godhead. Purport by the Srila Prabhupada, Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki jai. As stated by Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur in his Guru Ashtak prayers, Yasya Prasadat Bhagavad Prasada, one receives the mercy of the Supreme Lord through the mercy of the bona fide spiritual master. A devotee who has been blessed by his gurus with spiritual knowledge becomes qualified to directly engage in the mission of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Srila Prabhupada always emphasized that service to the spiritual master in separation, pushing on the mission of the Guru, is the highest form of devotional service. The word paricharit in this verse indicates waiting upon one's master by rendering personal service. In other words, one who has not clearly realized the teachings of his spiritual master should remain very close to the Guru to avoid falling down into illusion. But one who has acquired realized knowledge by the mercy of his spiritual master may be expand the spiritual master's mission by traveling around the world to preach Krishna consciousness. Lord Krishna here condemns bogus personalities who adopt the sannyasa order of life for sense gratification while still maintaining all of the symptoms of gross illusion. A false show of sannyasa is never accepted by intelligent followers of Vedic principles. So-called sannyasis who ruin all Vedic religious principles sometimes become famous among foolish persons, but they are simply cheating themselves and their followers. These charlatan sannyasis are never actually engaged in the loving devotional service of Lord Krishna. The brahmachari lives in the ashrama of the spiritual master and personally assists the acharya. Householders generally are trusted with the performance of sacrifice and deity worship and should provide maintenance for all living entities. The Vanaprastha must clearly understand the difference between the body and soul in order to maintain his status of renunciation, and he should also perform austerities. The sannyasi should fully absorb his body, mind, and words in self-realization. Having thus achieved equanimity of mind, he is the best well-wisher of all living entities. Sarvesham Mat Upasanam indicates that all the followers of the Varnashram system must worship Lord Krishna or risk falling down from their position. As stated in Srimad Bhagwatam 11.5.3, Na bhajanti avajananti sthanat brashtaha patanti adha. Even though one may be advanced in the performance of Vedic rituals and customs, without worshipping the Supreme Lord, one will certainly fall down. Those in the householder ashrama are not authorized to enjoy life like pigs and dogs, freely exercising their sexual potency. A religious householder should approach his wife at the prescribed time and place and beget a saintly child for the pleasure of the Supreme Lord. Otherwise, it is specifically mentioned here that a householder must practice celibacy along with all of the other members of advanced human civilization. The word shaucham indicates cleanliness of mind and body, or else freedom from attachment and repulsion. One who faithfully worship God as the supreme controller experiences santosh, a full satisfaction in whatever situation the Lord arranges. By seeing Lord Krishna within everyone, one becomes Bhuta Suruda, the well-wishing friend of all. It is clearly explained in this verse that loving devotional service unto Lord Krishna is the ultimate goal of the entire Varnashram system, which the Lord has been elaborately explaining. In any social or occupational division of human society, one must be a devotee of the Supreme Personality of Godhead and worship Him alone. The Bonaparte spiritual master is the representative of Lord Krishna, and worship of the Acharya goes directly to the lotus feet of the Lord. Although ordinary householders are sometimes ordered by Vedic injunction to worship particular demigods or forefathers, one should remember that Lord Krishna is within all living entities, as stated here. Sarva Bhuteshu Mad Bhava. It is the pure duties of the Lord, worship the Lord alone, and those who cannot come to the standard of pure devotional service should at least meditate upon the personality of Godhead within the demigods and all other living entities, understanding that all religious processes are ultimately meant for the pleasure of the Lord. In the course of missionary work, even pure devotees must deal with government leaders and other prominent members of society, sometimes praising such persons and complying with their orders. Yet, because the devotees are always meditating on Lord Krishna situated as the super soul within everyone, they are therefore acting for the Lord's pleasure and not for the pleasure of any ordinary human being. Those persons dealing with different demigods in the course of their varnashram duties should similarly see the Lord as the basis of everything. They should concentrate on pleasing the Supreme Lord by all activities. This stage of life is called love of God, and it brings one to the point of actual liberation. As described in the first canto of Srimad Bhagwatam 1.2.11, Lord Krishna is understood in three features as impersonal Brahman, localized Paramatma, and ultimately the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna, the source of everything. Lord Krishna absorbed the impersonal philosophers into the rays of his body, appears before the perfect yogis as the Lord of the heart, and ultimately brings his pure devotees back to his own abode for an eternal life of bliss and knowledge. According to the Varnashram system, the members of different orders and statuses of life have many traditional duties, such as worshipping the forefathers to save them from possible sinful reactions. All such Vedic rituals, sacrifices, austerities, and so forth should be offered to the lotus feet of Lord Sri Krishna. They then become the transcendental means for going back home, back to Godhead. In other words, Krishna consciousness or loving service to Lord Sri Krishna is the sum and substance of progressive human life. thus end the purpose of the humble servants of His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, to the 11th canto, 18th chapter of the Srimad Bhagwatam, entitled Description of Varnashram Dharma. Hare Krishna. Now prayers. Om Agyanati Mirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Ena Tasmai Sri Gurave Nama Sri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Ena Bhutale स्वयं रूप कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरो श्रीयुतपदकमलं श्रीगुरून् वैष्णवान् च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सगण रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्ण चैतन्य देवं श्रीराधा कृष्ण पदान् सगण ललिता श्री विशाखान्वितां च नमो ओम विष्णुपदाय कृष्ण पृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदांत स्वामिनिति नामिने नमस्ते सरस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात देशतारिणे वंशा कल्पतरुभे च कृपा सिन्धुभे एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे कृष्ण दंडवत प्रणाम. Are you hearing? Yes.
Yes, Mataji.
In this chapter, Varnashram Dharma, they describe about the duties of the all Varnas and Ashrama nicely. And so, Prabhuji will tell you in detail. Yes? Are you tell?
Okay, Mataji, I was working, no issues. I'll just summarize what I have understood in this particular chapter, in these particular shlokas till now, because it's a lot of important things which we have gone through in this chapter. So it all started with about the Vanaprastha system. Then we talked about the sannyasa. Then we talked about the paramhamsa. And then towards the end, we have talked about a person
Means
who
means
desired
of X.
Hare Krishna. Yeah, Hare Krishna. Sorry, I think I'm not audible. Yeah. So here we are talking about a person who desires his own interest. Then he should take shelter of a bona fide spiritual master, which is very, very important. Filling the mind with faith, keeping free from enviousness, remaining fixed in devotion, we should serve the spiritual master. And we should regard him as non-different from the Supreme Lord. Guru Krishna Nahi Anya. For Brahmachari, the primary duty is service to the spiritual master. The main duties for a householder are protection of living beings and sacrifice. For a Vanaprastha, it is austerities. And for sannyasi, it is self-control and non-violence. Celibacy should be practiced by everyone, even by householders at all times, except once a month when the wife is fertile, that too for begetting a child. So celibacy, penance, cleanliness, self-satisfaction, friendship with all living beings, and above all, the worship of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. These six are duties which are meant for every jiva, every soul. So we have to follow these six things. One acquires firm devotion for Supreme Lord, always rendering service to Krishna through one's particular prescribed duty by not engaging in worship of any other personalities. And also by thinking of all creatures as the place of residence of Supreme Personality of Godhead in the form of Paramatma. So whosoever we see, we should know, okay, there is a Paramatma. Okay, here is a Paramatma who is going along. So that becomes an important aspect. And the followers of the Karmakant section of the Vedas, maybe they can attain the planets of the forefathers and so on by their ritualistic activities. But if they also become endowed with devotion for Supreme Lord, then by these same activities, they can achieve the supreme stage of liberation. So we have all been knowing that Shivji Bhagwan is Mahavaishnav and today is Mahashivratri. So it is recommended that since he is Vaishnavanam, Sarvesham सबसे आगे है, we should be praying him that, oh Lord, please give us the mercy and bhakti towards Lord Krishna so that we get out of these repeated cycles of birth, old age, disease, and death with which we have been influenced on. So if we are really interested in our best interest, then we should follow the spiritual master. And we are very lucky. We have got everything so much simplified and made easy by His divine grace. Jagat Guru, Abhay Charnarinda, Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. And the whole knowledge is coming in Parampara. Guru Maharaj says that the only connection between you and Krishna is going to be the service. And that too, it has to be with humility. So we need to develop humility. We need to get into some kind of a service, seva, which is very important. Just a little while ago, Mataji was discussing Bhagavad Gita 2.48, and there also it is very clearly mentioned that we have to understand our position as servant of the servant of the servant of the Lord. So that identification of our position and ensuring that we get into this yoga appropriately will only help us in re-establishing our connection, which somehow has been lost because of our own foolishness. So Krishna always says, and Prabhupada always mentions that we are Moda because we have forgotten who we truly are and what we truly should be doing. This is an opportunity, Krishna consciousness movement, wherein we are introduced to our real self and we are given the path by which we can identify ourselves and go back to our original world and get out of these repeated cycles which are full of distress. And be always happy. Keep chanting and keep being happy. Chant and be happy. Hare Krishna. वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्येव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय।